all of these trends are kind of mundane and they're kind of boring. I think the beauty industry has completely ran out of ideas, but on the bright side, you can try most of these, if not all of these, at home without spending any extra money. Now, this video is not to tell you whether or not you're in style or out of style with your makeup routine. I think you can do whatever the heck you want. Follow a trend, don't follow a trend. But I personally love talking about trends. I love sharing my opinions about trends, and I want to hear your thoughts and opinions about these trends down in the comments below. Do you love them? Do you hate them? What do you want to see more of? What do you think deserves more credit? And on top of that, I want to share with you how you can spice up your beauty routine with things that you already have whenever you're bored. I am not making up my own trends or predicting them in this video. If you want to see my 2025 trend predictions, watch my last video. I know a lot of y'all were like, these are already happening, these are not trend predictions. Listen, a weatherman has to predict the weather based on some sort of evidence. I'm not going to predict trends based on nothing, out of thin air. So that's where my trend predictions were coming from. But also, as I rewatched that video to kind of see where the feedback and critiques were coming from, I completely get it, because most of these trends are not new. None of them are, actually. And a good example of predicting trends based on what is already happening or what we might see already is this article from Harper's Bazaar, where they declared fall 2025 beauty trends based on the runway. What I find really interesting is that the first sentence in this article, they wrote, the best fall 2025 beauty trends are anything but mundane. From tousled sky-high hair to 90s inspired cool tone shadow, the upcoming season is all about experimentation, like with hair, volume, and bright hues. Spoiler, I do think some of these are mundane, and I think some of you would agree, but I also think some of these are a lot of fun and I am inspired by them. The first makeup trend on the runway was sartorial eyeshadow. I thought this was a lot of fun, especially to translate into real life. Sometimes when you see trends on the runway or in high fashion, high beauty, if that's actually a word, is that they're almost too out of the box, so they don't really translate well in real life. But sartorial eyeshadows is just basically a wash of color, like a bright color all over the eyes, and I love this. This is what inspired my makeup today. I just put like a bunch of purple eyeshadow on my eyes. I did add some dimension, but I think this is such a fun way just to encourage yourself and push yourself to go a little bit out of your comfort zone and wear more color, especially someone like me. I don't wear a lot of color, and it can be scary sometimes to figure out like what combination of colors go best, especially if you're not really in tune with color theory. Sometimes it can be overwhelming to choose the colors in the palette that you have. So I love the idea of just going into a palette, picking one color, putting all of your lids and blending it out. You can keep it as simple as that, put on a little mascara or no mascara, which is also a trend, or you can kind of do what I did, which is just a mixture of different purples. So I have a darker purple on the outer half of my eyes, and then I kind of transitioned into a lighter purple on the inner corner. Especially matte colorful eyeshadows is so underrated to me. I do think sometimes putting a sparkle on top of color can ruin it. Again, it really just depends on the look. So whether or not this becomes a trend, I think it's a fun way that you could try incorporating color more into your makeup routine, or maybe every once in a while when you want to play with your makeup. This personally inspired me to go into my makeup collection and take out an old purple Glam Light palette that I haven't used in a while and put it all over my eyes. So if you're bored with your makeup, if you want to have a little bit more fun and experimentation with color, I do think sartorial eyeshadow would be a fun idea. Oh, they also mentioned to do kind of like a bright inner highlight color, which I think, again, if you're really scared of a bright colored eyeshadow, you could use it as an eyeliner. You can put it on the inner corner. You can use it very subtly where you're not like fully committing to a full-blown bright blue eyeshadow look. And I feel like this would just ease you into using color again without feeling like you look like a clown. Another trend that they saw on the runway was matte skin. I feel like this is kind of a given. We've been seeing matte skin, I would say, for the past year or so. So I'm assuming this will continue to be a thing for quite a while, especially right now. I feel like we're at like the peak of matte skin. We're getting a lot of powder launches, matte powder blushes, and I genuinely think it's just because brands have run out of new product ideas and they've overdone the glowy blushes, they've overdone the glowy fresh skin, and so they're just trying to find new products to come out with. And if you've already done glowy products, the next step to find something else to sell is matte skin. Now for me, this has never been a trend. Okay, I have oily skin, and if you have oily skin who prefers matte makeup, you get where I'm coming from, because I've always preferred matte makeup. So this, I think, is a trend for me, meaning I am very excited for more matte leaning, blurring products to come out, because that is my preference. I have been searching for those products for quite a while and you don't see them often. I think now you do, but previously it was all about the glowy, dewy skin. And I do think even if you have oily skin or dry skin, combination normal skin, filter-like skin is something that a lot of us do reach for, and it would be interesting to see how someone with dry skin uses matte makeup, if they do use matte makeup. The next trend is labeled as gloss over, which is basically just shine, glossy skin, glass skin, just another way to phrase it. And in my last video, someone did point out, I think it was one person or two people, I don't really remember, but they were pointing out how I predicted that full glam makeup was going to come back. This unrecognizable makeup trend was kind of my piece of evidence into why I think full glam makeup is going to come back. But at the same time, I said that I also think natural makeup will continue and or come back. And someone was pointing out how and wondering how the heck it can both trend at the same time. It's because people are different depending on your geography, your demographic, the people you're surrounded by. Two trends can be happening at the exact same time. So with that being said, I'm not a fan of the glass skin makeup, the overly dewy, all over the face glowy makeup. I have never been, just because I can't pull that off, simply put. However, what I am a fan of is the selective glossy makeup. So when I'm looking at these runway images, I'm seeing more of a selection and where the gloss and the glass skin is. So it's either matte skin all over the face and then a soft glossy lip, or matte skin and maybe a matte lip and then a little bit of glow on the cheekbones. I like that so much better than the overly dewy glossy skin, because to me this is more realistic, and I feel like this is a very versatile trend for everyone. Again, it's the whole thing of taking old trends but making it like a little bit better. Okay, we're still on the boring trend part of the list, so bear with me, but the next trend are dainty nails, which is basically just simple clean cut nails, maybe not any acrylics or gel or nail extension situation, just what I'm wearing right now. And I like this. I just feel like these trends, again, just translate into real life so much easier, and it's just way more realistic. For me, dainty nails have always been a thing. I love a good press-on long nail, but recently I've just been tired of having long nails. You know, it just doesn't work in my everyday life. I'm very rough with my hands. I'm always washing them, and so they tend to either come off easily, or I just don't want to bother. Like, I want to be able to itch myself and feel that satisfaction. With fake nails, you don't actually feel that, if you know what I'm saying. It's such a strange experience. Anyways, dainty nails I love because it's just that idea of keeping your nails fresh. You can do a little bit of a design on them, but you're not going crazy with how long they are. And it also just saves you money because you can do dainty nails at home. You can go to the salon and do dainty nails if you wanted to, and you don't even have to put a design on them. I think recently there was also another article about Selena Gomez's soap nails, and I saw another post about how soap nails are trending, and I think this kind of correlates with the dainty nails. I have been doing soap nails for a while now. Anytime I don't want to do press-on nails, I do dainty soap nails. I just make sure my nails are clean, cut, and fresh, and then I paint on the Sally Hansen like nail strengthener. And then on top of that, I use my favorite Essie nail polish, which is called Of Course Set. And that's my version of soap nails. It goes with everything. It's easy to manage and you don't have to do your nails as often. But I do hear the comments in my head saying this is so freaking boring. How is this a trend? I agree with you. With everything that's going on in the world, we are keeping the trend simple right now because we want things that are cheaper, affordable, easy to do at home. So it just makes sense. What goes around comes back around, and that thing is going to be a side part. Or Harper's Bazaar is calling it one-sided. What? Like, one-sided. Why are we labeling this one-sided? It's a side part. Harper's Bazaar? I'm not surprised. This is, again, all of these trends right now, I'm like, this is not a surprise. We have gone through this like Kardashian middle part phase for quite a while. We're bored of it and it's time for a side part. It just makes sense. And I've never been against a side part. I think I had a side part for a while, even when a middle part was trending, just because sometimes a middle part, and like even right now I put it to the side because I just think it gives more volume on this side of my head versus like the middle part is just too perfectionist. I think if you have like a very symmetrical face, a middle part is great, or a very like sharp face, a middle part is great. However, what I will say is side bangs is a whole different story. They specifically said one-sided, and in the images you don't see side bangs, you just see a side part. Some of it's kind of exaggerated, some of it is kind of soft. Again, it's the whole thing of we're bored with one thing, so what can we do? There's not a lot of options, and that next thing is going from a middle part to a side part, and it does kind of freshen up the look a little bit. You don't have to do anything new, you don't have to buy anything, just put your hair to the side and boom, you got a new hairdo. Or you could just completely chop it off like me and cut some bangs, because that will also give you a new hairdo. Okay, we are onto something here. This is a trend that I'm very, very excited about, and it is gray eyeshadow, or Harper's Bazaar calls it shades of gray. I see the reference here. I'm really excited about this just because, you know, we went through an era of really warm tone makeup. We transitioned to kind of like an in-between where we weren't really caring about warm tone or cool tones. We were like asking for the cool tones, and then last year, more cool tone makeup started to slowly come out, and I think this year is going to be the year of cool tone makeup. We're seeing a lot of it already, especially from brands like MAC Cosmetics, who have always done cool tone makeup really well, and they're just bringing it back. Now, specifically gray eyeshadow I think is fresh and fun because it's been a while. It's been a while since gray eyeshadow has been like the thing. And I think for a lot of people, gray eyeshadow can be kind of scary, especially if you are a warmer undertone or kind of like my undertone, which is neutral olive. Technically, I can pull off cool tones and warm tones, but gray, if done incorrectly, can make me look dead and ashy. But I think that's kind of the fun of it. And especially if you are a cool tone person, this is going to look so freaking good. So if you have been bored of your eyeshadow and your makeup, even if you might hate it, try cool tone makeup, try gray eyeshadow. I'm sure you have some sort of gray eyeshadow in your collection you haven't touched in a while. So dive into it, try it out, and see if you like it. And you might have to try it out a few different times in order to really get a look you like. I didn't think it was flattering on me, but the more I wear it, the more I experiment with different combinations with lip colors and cheek colors. I do really enjoy gray eyeshadow. I think it's a lot of fun. The next trend is also a really fun one to me. Again, something that feels a little bit newer, feels a little bit fresher. Again, it's the comeback era, so everything from what we've seen in history is just coming back, and this is vintage glamour, specifically vintage hair. I personally think this is the Sabrina Carpenter effect because of her bangs, but it's kind of more elevated. So not just Sabrina Carpenter and her big bouncy hair, but the pictures on the runway are a lot bolder and cooler. I definitely wouldn't be doing a 60 meets alien here, I can tell you that one. But I could definitely see normal people experimenting more with 60s hairstyle in a realistic everyday way. Maybe not in the full-on hairspray wig sort of way, but in a you know, subtle. Let's take pieces here and there like the bangs and just adding a lot more volume to the hair. Personally, I am always trying to get my hair to have volume. That is also why I cut my hair, because with straight hair, it just weighs down everything else. So my hair is always so straight. It also has a hard time holding a curl, believe it or not. But with short hair, I have so much more volume. It's almost too textured and too voluminous. I'm like trying to get used to it. So I'm a big fan of this trend. I'm also thinking of like the headbands in the 60s and just like the big bump. Like imagine if the bumped up hair was a trend. And I could see those like voluminous hair tools coming back in trend. I don't know. I forgot what it's called. It's like that bump it or something. But I also mentioned flipping out the ends of your hair to give it more of that vintage effect, which I really love. I kind of want to try it with my short hair to kind of see what it looks like. So we'll see where this goes. Let me know what you think about the vintage glamour hair, because I'm a big fan. I'm kind of a big fan of all of these trends actually, now that I think about it, which is different. And I think it's just because these trends are very unproblematic to me. Like they're not crazy enough for any of us to be like, this is awful. It's more like, oh, okay, this is not new. Speaking of not new, Harper's Bazaar labeled the next trend, wing it. Winged eyeliner is apparently going to be a trend. It's already been a trend. And I'm trying to sit here and look at these images and think, okay, what's new about this? What's fresh about this? What's cool about this? Because winged eyeliner has been a thing for years. Personally, I think what's trending right now is just that really bold cat eye look, specifically my favorite kind of cat eye, where you kind of do like the dark liner from the inner to the outer and you also tight line. That's where I'm heading towards. I do think I like the look, especially with my darker hair. Having like black liner with dark hair, I feel like makes my eyes pop. It might not make my eyes bigger, but I like that it kind of stretches my eyes. I was scarred for life for being made fun of for having Asian eyes. However, I have healed because I actually prefer to have my eyes look more Asian, because why is that a bad thing? And I used to always try to make my eyes look bigger. But now that I'm older, I do not think small eyes are ugly at all. It's just what society made me believe, okay? Now, in terms of this winged eyeliner, when I look at the images, I think they're referencing the subtle winged eyeliner instead, which I don't think is shocking. Again, all of these trends, even though in the beginning of the article they're like, it's not mundane, all of these trends are kind of mundane and they're kind of boring and they're kind of stripped back, which, you know, it's subjective whether you think that is good or not. So having a very simple wing, I guess, makes sense with all of these other trends, but I do think it's kind of bland. As I'm looking at these models, they don't have any additional eyeliner, and they also don't seem to have mascara or curled lashes, which feels like a crime. But I would be interested in trying it because, you know, right now this is kind of like the phase of eyeliner I'm in, but I'm wondering how my makeup would look if I just did winged eyeliner and no mascara, because that's also a thing right now, no mascara makeup. I will say that the makeup artist on this model did play around and make it interesting, because usually we put winged liner right here closer to the corners of our eyes, or depending on if you have larger eyes, you might angle it a little bit higher. But here, the makeup artist put it like more towards like the middle, and I would think that's strange, and again, it feels like a crime, but on the model, it kind of gives a cool winged look, something different that we don't really see. And it's one of those questions of, do I love it or do I hate it? And I think I kind of love it because it gives the eyes a whole different cool shape. Will I be wearing my eyeliner like that every day? Hell no. So those are all of the trends predicted by Harper's Bazaar based on the fall 2025 runway. What do you think? Do you love these trends? Do you hate these trends? Do you think they're boring? Or do you think they're actually exciting, fresh, and new? Let me know down in the comments below. I absolutely love talking about trends, so if you want to see more videos like this, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new to my channel, and as always, I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye!